Yeah, today I want to talk to you about Band of Brothers, produced by HBO, came out in like 2000, 2001. The story follows the 506th Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division, Easy Company, and it follows them from their training in Toccoa, Georgia, all the way to the end of the war. The show has a phenomenal cast, and you will see more than a few familiar faces in there. Even though I don't watch the show, the actor that plays Bull Ranneman plays or played or whatever, if he's still alive or not, Abraham in The Walking Dead. Michael Fassbender's in this, Donnie Wahlberg, Damian Lewis, who's on the one show on Showtime, I think it's called Homeland. And another actor, I keep forgetting his name, but he played Damien Dark on Arrow. So, great cast. Some of the actors would go on to much bigger things, like, again, you want to see early Michael Fassbender, Band of Brothers. One of the best things about this is, in the beginning of each episode, you get interviews with the actual veterans who the actors are portraying. So you see men like Winters, Lipton, and others. And it just helps you with that, establish more of a personal connection with these people. Because when you're watching it, you just feel more affected, being able to see the actual people. And this show gets pretty emotional at times. Like when a soldier gets hit, whether they're dead or just wounded and taken out of action, you feel it. It's sad. Even the ones taken out of action, even if you know they live, you just get so attached to having these people around, you miss them in the later episodes. A great example of it, and without going into too many spoilers, is the two episodes that cover the Battle of the Bulge. Two of the guys get their legs injured, and they're taken out for good, and even though they survive, you miss them for the last couple episodes. That same episode, one of the guys who finally gets his Luger, spoiler alert, has it in his pocket, it goes off, clips his artery, and he dies. So it shows the tragedy, not just of people killed in combat, but just of accidents. Because he was so excited to have the Luger. This was an accident that didn't need to happen if he just pulled the ammo out of it, but again, the senselessness of war. Now, the CG does look a little dated, like when they jump onto Normandy. By today's standards, the CG's not that good, but it gets the point. And you get this great shot with Winters, who's the leader of Easy Company and goes on to become a major. He jumps out of the plane, and you follow him the whole way to the ground. D-Day's Day of Days, that's an amazing episode, and Winters' actions in that. He was up for the Congressional Medal of Honor, didn't get it. He passed away now. There's still a push to posthumously get it. Yeah, I understand he's not alive, but it would mean the world to his kids and grandkids, I'm sure. And after that, you get another episode in France. Then they go to Holland, Operation Market Garden, Bastogne, the Battle of the Bulge, which is two of the best episodes in the series. I know the first one, a lot of fans don't seem to like, but I like it. It follows the medic in this kind of friendship that develops with this nurse that ends kind of tragically. And there's funny stuff in that. This show has great humor. Like, there's one part where Buck Compton's telling the other ones after the Luger accident, don't do nothing stupid, don't do nothing stupid. And just the humor. They like ask, "Don't do nothing stupid." Who's he talking to? And one of the soldiers mentions, "Bunch of morons who volunteered to jump off out of a perfectly good airplane. Can you get any stupider than that?" So it does a great job. You get these polarizing battle scenes, but you get just enough humor at times to lighten the atmosphere. And again, it helps you get attached to these characters and just emotionally invested. I mean, the scene at the end of the last episode where the actor that plays Winters is talking about what happened to them after the war, it's emotional and it brings tears to my eyes. One of the soldiers, George Luz, when he died, over 1,600 people attended his funeral. That speaks volumes of what the man's character was. And this will, if you haven't seen this, it's a must see. It will fill you with more appreciation for what our soldiers went through in that war and just more appreciation for the freedom you have, the freedom that was paid for in blood, sweat, and tears. To paraphrase one episode, one of the soldiers in which great each episode focuses on different soldiers. Some will focus on the same one more than one, but David Webster, I'm paraphrasing it, but it focuses on him. It's called Last Patrol. And he missed Bastogne in this is one of Easy Patrol's last patrols, and it's the last one they cover in the mini series, so hence the name Last Patrol. At the end, he talks about how things are beginning to look more like peacetime at home and how good things are getting, but he mentions, "I wonder if anyone could ever," and I'm paraphrasing it, "ever understand the price of freedom if they ever understood the moment, if they'll ever understand what it's like to be in places like Normandy, Holland, Bastogne, or Hagenau." And again, you have no clue what it was really like, but this will help you to understand that, to see what these men went through. Episode 9, I consider the emotional high point of the series. It's where they find a concentration camp in. Man, this part is extremely hard to watch. Earlier in the episode, and the episode's name is Why We Fight, David Webster's in the back of a truck. A ton of Germans surrender, and he's screaming at them, "You stupid so-and-sos, what are we fighting for? Dragging me halfway around the world, and for what? Look, you have horses. What were you thinking? What am I doing here?" Well, a few scenes later, they come across the concentration camp in, like I said, it's extremely graphic, and it just hits you with what they were fighting for. And I just love from a storytelling narrative how they ask that question and answer it in that episode. And what I love about the scene where he's screaming about what are we fighting for, you can see the rest of Easy Company is thinking it. He's the only one saying it. And then the last episode points, the war ends, they take Hitler's town, then actually encamp in the Eagle's Nest at the end of the war, which was Hitler's home, and that's where they get the news he killed himself. And they find out about Japan, the war. Well, they see clips of the war in Japan and find out they're going to be redeployed to the Pacific. And it's about different men making up their mind if they got the points. Are they going to go home? Are they going to stay? And at the end of it, again, spoiler alert, they get the news the war ends, and that's where you get the great scene with Winters saying what everyone went through in the war, and it ends with more interviews from the real men of Easy Company. I don't know if any of these men are still alive. I'm sure a few of them are, but give this a watch. It's highly recommended. I got this for like $23 at Walmart, so it's affordable. It's not the old tin set, which I used to have, but I'd say that's a good thing because the cases were very fragile and the little clips broke and my discs got all scratched up, so I'm much happier with this case. Now, I had recently seen The Pacific. Initial thoughts, great, but it's just not quite as good as Band of Brothers. I want to do a review on that, and then I want to do a discussion comparing the two. Now, in parting thoughts, I'd say if you watch it, don't binge watch it. Watch one, maybe two episodes at a time, and just let them sink in and marinate. Because it does get more emotional, and like I said, there are points that are going to bring you to tears in this, but give you a newfound appreciation for our veterans. So, Band of Brothers, I consider it a must see. And if you're watching this, if you're a veteran, if you're in the service, you have my sincere thanks. And if you have family that served, your family has my sincere thanks. Well, till next time, over and out.